Hey folks, today I wanted to talk about what our mobile internet options are when we're going to be traveling on the road. I'll provide a bit more background on that down the line, but long story short, we're going to be part-timers. We're in a place in our lives where we're just not able to go full-time just yet, nor, just based on what's happening recently, I don't know that we have a desire to. But overall, I think we want to have the opportunity to maximize our part-timing potential. So I kind of want to see this as in between like weekend warriors and full-timing, somewhere in the middle if I can make it happen. So to start, Michelle and I are on a plan from Google Fi. Fi is Google's small slice of the mobile carrier world. They have a relatively flexible plan that Michelle and I are able to take advantage of. It really reduces our month-to-month spend on mobile internet. So our situation is that, we're still in a COVID environment right now, but obviously at home everyone has Wi-Fi, so we're all going to be connected to Wi-Fi. We're not using much internet. But when I'm at work, I'm connected to Wi-Fi at work. And when Michelle's at work, she can't really use her phone other than when she's in a break, because she's a nurse and there are just rules about that at where she works. So what that means is that we have very little data usage at home or at work. When we're out and about, I think our habits are largely using the internet to browse and look for information, or we listen to podcasts, especially when we're on road trips. So we'll download a whole series of podcasts. We'll have a library with us, and we've developed the behavior to pre-download that at home so that when we're out on the road, we're not actively using data against podcast streaming. Interestingly, neither of us really have the behavior of watching a lot of videos on our mobile devices. When you're thinking about like having a limited data plan, like a lot of that right now is really based upon mobile video usage, but we just don't have that behavior. So really, I didn't really want to be paying like, what is it right now? $60, $80 a month on some of the other carriers to have quote unquote unlimited internet. For us, Fi became a really good option. I've been on Google Fi since 2017-ish, and haven't had an issue since when I met Michelle, and as things progressed, we got closer or whatever, I was able to add her onto my plan. A breakdown of what we're paying is that we have 2 phone lines, and we're using our numbers. But for the 2 phone lines, it's unlimited talk and text for $35 a month. And then what Google does is they give you an a la carte pricing on data. So it's $10 a month and you pay as you go. So at the end of each cycle, it'll tally up like, here's how much data you used, and that equates to however on top of the $35 a month. For example, right now, we just cleared our cycle through the beginning of May, and they sent us a estimated bill for around $50 because combined, I guess on top of the 35, we used less than 2 gigabytes of data together. Typically, I think if we aren't in a COVID environment, we'd be a little bit higher. So that cycle is really April, and then we were in March before, and we were at around $70, and that's historically where we averaged out at, before the world shut down. So if you're looking for a really flexible economic data plan, and you know that you have the ability to really manage your data load, assess your behaviors and just take a look at Project Fi. One of the features on Fi is you have unlimited international data. You're still paying the $10 per gigabyte data amount. Anywhere you go, you have access to the high-speed data networks that are available there. So I've used it a couple of times abroad now, either in Canada or on my Spain and Gibraltar trip. I definitely come in handy. I still had like LTE service or 4G service at the time out there. And it was good to know that I didn't have to pay any roaming charges. My speed, I didn't have to worry about speed, that I was going to get really good data speeds, and I knew that it was going to be my standard $10 per gigabyte rate. So I could really hinge on my behaviors at home and really carry it to abroad if I'm traveling, because I know there's no major changes to what I'm going to experience from a data standpoint. So keep that in mind. If folks like to travel abroad quite a bit, I really think Google Fi is really good, especially if you can control your data usage on a regular basis. One last thing about Fi, and I haven't done this yet, but they have a thing where you can just request a data-only SIM card. So I have that here. I'm not really sure what to do with it just yet, but the idea is that I could plug this into any other device that I have. It won't have any phone features, but it'll have data features. So I could plug it into a tablet, and that tablet will have internet access. All of that is still at the $10 per gigabyte flexible pay-as-you-go amount. So that's what we're using on a day-to-day basis. Now, when we start traveling, if we're at a campsite or whatever and we want to stream something, that's where I started looking for some type of a mobile hotspot plan. However, and there's a lot of videos about this on YouTube, the hotspot plans are getting expensive and doesn't really have room for a lot of data usage. We started looking in places where cheap hotspot data plans were available and didn't have to be unlimited. And that's how I landed on Cricket Wireless. Now, Cricket Wireless is a subsidiary that's owned by AT&T. But if you try to go and look at AT&T's hotspot plans, they are up there. They're up there like $80, $90 a month. And if you're a full-timer, that might justify it. And I don't even know if it's like completely unlimited either. Cricket, as I looked into it, made a bit more sense. So I got one. There you go. And I got one of their data-only plans. They called their Simply Data. So we'll see here, they have two levels of data plans. The first is a $35 option for 20 gigabytes of data, and these are all prepaid. And the second is $50 option, 40 gigabytes of data. The thing that Cricket says right up front, which is really good because you know what you're getting into, is that you pay for the 20 or 40 gigabytes. If you use it up, you're done. There's no more. There's no overages. You're cut off. And they have an add-on feature where you can add additional 15 gigabytes of data for $10. And that is also feel free to add on if you need it for one-time use only, or have it as a recurring cost and just tack $10 a month on top of whatever your bill is. So as I think about it, it's like, okay, if we're home, I could pay $35 a month and have 20 gigabytes. And because if I'm home, I don't have to use it. But then if we travel, I could see if 20 gigabytes is enough. But if it isn't, man, I always have the option to just add $10 more and I'll get another 15 gigs. So I feel like Cricket is a good option for us. I've actually had this for about a month or two now, and I've taken it to a couple of different places. I'm getting roughly 20 megabytes per second on the downlink, and uplink I'm getting like 7 or 8 megabytes per second. That's not bad. The most that this thing needs to support is 3 devices. And again, Michelle and I don't really watch video on our phone, so we'll just be browsing. So really low end data usage on our mobile devices. The biggest load is going to be on TV streaming. The other thing about using Cricket versus just trying to find something that's the same carrier, you might run into areas where carriers have different levels of signal or coverage. So to be able to diversify even a little bit could be helpful. So if we don't have signal on Fi, you know, we could use the hotspot. And if we're at a place where, man, the hotspot is having issues, we'll use Fi. But again, I think, you know, we'll just have to be mentally prepared to understand either we're going to get heavier data usage or heavier data costs for that month, or we continue to manage our data use and have to sacrifice on a couple things. Okay, we are headed to Michelle's townhouse, and I thought it'd be a good time to do kind of a real-world test on coverage and data speeds between Google Fi and Cricket Wireless. When Michelle and I first met, we each had our own townhouses. And every time I would go to her place, especially if I needed to watch Henry or whatnot, you know, I would have pretty bad cell phone reception at her place. You know, thank goodness she had Wi-Fi, so I could just connect to that. But other than that, it was particularly weak in the neighborhood and the area that she was in. Still having that experience today, but the Cricket hotspot that I got is new. I haven't brought it over to her place just yet. We're also selling the place, so in the long run, this test means nothing to us, but I figure it'd be a good opportunity to just kind of help you guys understand the coverage, because these are two very non-traditional mobile providers that we're using right now. So at the very least, it'll help you guys understand like what's out there. Let's go take a look. Okay, we are at Michelle's, and let's just take a look at how speed and coverage differs. So I have my Samsung phone here. It's running off of a Google Fi SIM card, and right now it says LTE plus coverage, but I've never trusted that. And it also says I have 3 bars, but bars are not a good indicator either. So let's take a look at what kind of speeds we're getting. So I'm gonna go to fast.com, go to use your browser, and then go to it, and once you do it, it'll start to load. But as you'll see on my screen, it's refusing to load. Standing in the kitchen, I'm just now getting the page to load, and it is trying to ping. And if you're following along, 580 kilobytes per second off of what is supposed to be LTE plus coverage. Our upload speed just started at 5 kilobytes per second. I think that goes back to 1993. So anyway, on Google Fi, that's apparently what we're working with here. All right, cool. Now I have my Cricket Wireless hotspot. Should be running off AT&T towers. So what I'll do is I'll connect the phone to the hotspot, and then we'll do that fast test over again, and we'll see how that goes. All right, so on the hotspot itself, right now I have 4 bars. It says LTE, 5 bars now that I'm holding it up, but I'm gonna drop it, actually. And let's once again go to fast.com. And let's see how this loads this time. Ooh, much faster. Okay, it's going. It's going. We're getting, I'm at 5, 6, 4.5 megabytes. Upload speeds at 5 megabytes per second, download speeds at 4.5. So exponentially better than what I was getting with Fi or T-Mobile, but still, this area has just been wonky. I mean, if I was stuck in this position and at a campground, man, I definitely want my Cricket to be around, so that at least like basic, this could probably pull in like 1 SD stream, so we could still probably do something. And at the very least, the phones can work off of the Wi-Fi signal. But yeah, nothing more substantial. It's much better than if we were stuck in an area like this at a campground and stuck with kilobytes per second of data. Feel free to comment Put in your thoughts, tell me about your experience. Ask any questions too. Fi, I don't think is pretty well known. Cricket, I think also is not pretty well known. So I'm using two fairly unconventional services. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and we'll see you next time.